This is the absolute Kris Kage, and you are both listening to and watching the 3 Count Podcast.
Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you out that mountain called wrestling. And by season 5 or 380 something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficient. You can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this person at Project Codename Sinatra. You can find him at NAW. You can find him at TCW. You can find him at CPW, BCW, NYWC, WXW, and MLW. He is the final. He is the powerful. He is the absolute Kris Kage.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Red Dog. I'm digging the energy, a little bit different flavor than what you're going to get from me, but it's going to be a nice balance, and I think it's going to be a fun time.
Hey, I'm with it though, man. Just whatever's clever. So it's all good. It's just funny because a lot of people, they like whenever I come out with like full fire, and then the other person's just like, nah, not today. I'm taking all this from you. So, baby face heel dynamic, I'm okay with all of it.
Well, the frequency might be a little bit different, but I promise you there will be no lack of energy. There never is.
Bet. Well, listen, for those who don't know who you are, who is Kris Kage?
Well, they call me the absolute Kris Kage, El Capo, the man with the 2K. I go by a couple of different names depending on where you know me from and depending on where you've seen me for the first time. But as you've mentioned before, I am a professional wrestler from the Lower East Side of New York City, the 6th borough. I wrestle all up and down the East Coast, the tri-state area. I am one of the OGs of the current era of professional wrestling here in the tri-state area. And as you just mentioned, you can see me at Project Codename Sinatra, right, available right now on YouTube, as well as checking out Project Codename Wrestling on all your social media platforms. And then we got Project Codename Sandlot that was just announced earlier today for July 26th, just in case anybody is interested, coming to you live from Hoboken, New Jersey. And it's going to be a party that you will not forget, I promise you.
I like it, especially here because now it's kind of like an exclusive. I know you just said that you guys announced it, but when this episode gets out, you guys can all check out that all day, all night, whenever you guys want to. So, be there, be square, whatever it may be. But nonetheless, I'm digging this, man, because like you said, you're a wrestler. I've also seen that you're an announcer as well, commentator. You've done it all. Like, what was that moment, man, where you were watching professional wrestling and you're like, you know what? I got to go after this.
I know the exact moment. We're fans here, right? We could put our fan caps on, right? So I take you back once upon a time, a long time ago, long time ago. I'm talking about 1996. A young absolute Tukester was watching WrestleMania 12. And I don't know, you may know about a certain Iron Man match between one Bret Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. The boyhood dream coming true. A show and a moment, if you will, that for a young man who was very much immersed in this thing of ours and very much ate it up with a spoon, very much believed everything that I saw with all my heart, even if in the back of my mind and in the back of my heart, I knew what was going on. The moment I watched Shawn take that title from the Hitman, and, full disclosure, Shawn Michaels fan, respect to the Hitman, always had respect to the Hitman. But at the time, if you remember those couple of years right there, you were either a Shawn guy or you were a Bret guy. And there wasn't much room for an in-between. You know what I'm saying? The in-betweeners really didn't have a lot of friends back then. And it was, and I was a Shawn guy, admittedly so, always proud of it, even when Shawn wasn't the easiest guy to be a fan of. And when I watched that boyhood dream come true, I was around about the same age range as the story told us he was when he determined this is what he wanted to do and this is the moment he wanted to obtain. And as the cliche goes, hook, line, and sinker. Because I bit into it with both fangs and I never let go. I shook it like a squeezed toy, and my life was never really the same ever since then. You know, we have a saying in what we do that once the bug bites you, there's no turning back, and it bites you
Nope.
pretty hard, and that's
Yep.
exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, I can tell you. It's funny how you mentioned it, like you said, many, many moons ago, right? I could take you into the same decade, right? Especially for myself, because my moment was Jake the Snake Roberts with Macho Man
Mm,
and the Cobra, the
mm,
infamous Cobra. That's what got me hooked. And then I remember like a few years later watching WCW main event, right? And watching Chris Jericho just starting out. The Lionheart had just
mm.
came in to WCW
Yes.
and just like falling in love with the product. And then not even like a couple years later, seeing Rey Mysterio just pop out in his matchup with Dean Malenko in Panama City, Florida. So for me, like those three moments were the moments that led me to like, I want to do this. And then like, it took me a while, but nonetheless, like I chased after a dream that I really wanted to do, and then finally got into the ring. So like, there's like it's so cool when you get to talk to people who have these moments of like this is that moment, this is that time, this is that place that I was, and this is what hooked me. And I remember like one other moment too, and I think I talked about it a couple times here, but February 11th 2011, I was sitting at home and they announced the special guest, the special host for WrestleMania, which had been The Rock. And every time I tell this story from beginning to end, I just have goosebumps traveling down. That's why I knew I was like, whatever it is, whatever I got to do, however old I'm going to be, I at least have to say I did this one time. Because, you know, we meet a lot of people who get into this business, or not even to this business, are in life. And that's why I'm in our lives. And they're always talking about like, oh, I want to be a professional this or a professional that. And more times than not, like, and not that I'm trying to knock somebody, it doesn't happen. So for us to be able to go chase after that dream of becoming a professional wrestler, like, sure, maybe there are thousands and upon thousands of wrestlers who enter into the business every week, every month, every year, whatever. We're still doing it, and I still like it's still surreal to me that every I get to do this and have fun talking to people about this business.
I think you and I have a similar sentiment when it comes to that. You first of all, when it comes to the inspirations and the moments that that made an impact to you, classic moments, very good stuff. For anybody that's watching, if we don't know what the Red Dog is talking about, I challenge you to go on to the Peacock Network, go on to that WWE tab, and search it up because you're missing all the action. That's all I'm going
Yeah.
to say about that. Uh, and our little nexus moments, as I like to call them, that kind of changed our lives. You know what I'm saying, and that are embedded in those memories. Um, but yeah, to your point, I feel the same exact thing every day. While it's easy to get caught up in all the action and the fact that things are always moving and there's always something going on and there's always a next event or next something to promote or get ready for. Sometimes when you really do have to sit back and you got to take a look at what you're doing because, as you mentioned, not a lot of people have the luck or the fortunate circumstances to be able to pursue the thing that they dreamed about, especially if it's something that they dreamed about from when they were really young. So the fact that we get to do this, the fact that we've gotten the opportunity to get in, because I don't know about you, but a lot of guys, they come in, they have the big dreams, they want to main event WrestleMania, they want to do this, they want to be the world champion, they want to, when you come from the neighborhood that I come from, you don't really imagine doing anything too big past the neighborhood. You know what I'm talking about? So uh just being able to call myself pro wrestler, just being able to step into the ring, just being able to do this a couple of times, like you said, let alone be in the game for over a decade, be able to work with some of the people that I idolized growing up, be able to meet some of the people that I thought I would never meet. Uh, it is, they, again, cliches all day. They say dreams come true, and they do. If you got the guts to really go out there and step through that curtain. You know what I'm talking about? For better or for worse.
Yeah. And what's funny is that this podcast itself has like introduced me to so many people that I just never expected to like to meet and talk to and then also be mentored by, right? And I mean the list goes on and on, but it's just crazy that there's these moments that happen in this business that you're like as a kid, like you grew up, you're like, dude, I used to watch you on TV, and then like years later, like I would have some of those people on my podcast, and I was like, oh my god, like this is the most incredible thing like I've done and I've created and get to be a part of and get to learn from people. And I think to me, it's wild like how far this business will go if you keep driving for it and how much it will reward you for the work that you are putting into it. I know, like, and I could be front with these people, with y'all been seeing me. And I may not be working as much as I used to, like a couple, even like last year because I moved, right? And there's been a transitional period, but 2 years ago, like I was working like every weekend, and these last couple of years, not so much. But the podcast has definitely been hitting because people know that I've been out working, grinding, and then I keep putting out like, yo, who wants to come on this podcast? And I keep reaching out and keep getting more people. And that leads me to more people. And it's been an incredible ride to be a part of. And for me, there was like a moment where Just Incredible came on the podcast. And I know like people say that he doesn't have like the best rap in the business. And I don't care because when he came on this podcast and we had a conversation, to me, I was like, how did this happen? And it goes back to work. Like it goes back to our work rate. Like, you put in the time, you put in the effort, and the game will reward you. And game always recognize game, man. So that's why I get hyped about this business because of the opportunities that have been given to me.
No, you're absolutely right. It 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 never stops. Again, as you said, if you put the work in, if you put the effort in, it kind of never stops giving to you. That's not always a positive thing, you know. It is full, as you may know, I'm sure you do, of heartbreak, of disappointment, of all kind of things that we wish we would not have to deal with. We wish we would just be able to show up and enjoy ourselves and enjoy the people that we like to be around. But there is a give and take to what we do. But like you said, the one thing that it allows you to have is moments where surreal might be the word, depending on the situation. My moment, if I may, in comparison, was the day me and my former partner, my brother, the person that I got into the business with, uh had the opportunity to step into the ring with the Rock and Roll Express
Mm.
tag team action. uh Anybody that knows me knows that I'm an old school cat, as we've mentioned before, so my fandom goes back to the old school. And the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, two of my favorite tag teams, two of the best tag teams that ever lived, two of the tag teams that made tag team wrestling what it is, and created the style that all tag team wrestling has followed for the last 40 years. Uh, so knowing that, having that type of fandom, having that type of love, appreciation, and respect, uh, the day I got the call and was told that we'd be stepping into the ring with the Rock and Roll Express, first of all, I didn't believe it was true. I directly called the promoter a liar directly on the phone. Uh, and we had a little back, and he actually had to convince me that it was really happening. And then once he did, I it was like a kid. It was like me being like you said, like meeting somebody you grew up watching, and you just didn't know how to react. Even upon meeting them, having to keep it together, but doing pretty good because I'm too cool to be a mark. You know what I'm saying? But uh, it was an amazing experience. And then after working with them, being allowed to speak to on a personal basis and learn from and be schooled by Ricky Morton and Robert, it was something that I'll never forget. It's the greatest experience I've ever had doing this. And I even told my partner the night it happened, it could all end tomorrow, and I'll be all right with that.
I 100% can understand like where that all comes from. I think for me, like my moment. So I've been in just under 5 years, right? Um, And I'm like, and fun fact for those who are wondering, I'm coming up on my 39th birthday. So yeah, I started in game late. But for me, my surreal moment of like, oh my god, like what is life? Is I was actually chilling backstage, and my trainer was like, "Hey, I need you to meet this person really quick." And I was like, "Okay, who am I meeting?" He's like, "Nah, nah, I can't tell you. Just come with me." So I walked with him to the back, and at a table, there's all these ECW legends, and one in particular, everybody knows, walks around with a cane stick, likes to drink beer. Uh,
Okay.
I was like, "Oh my god, this is the man himself!" And so, uh, my trainer's tag partner, he was just like, "Hey, tell him your name," and I was like, "My name's Red Dog," and he was like, "You know what?" And, my again person goes, "Tell him why," and I was like, "Cause my first name's Clifford," and shit you not, all I hear was, "Oh my god, are you serious?" I watch Clifford the Big Red Dog with my grandchildren all the time, and I was like, I cannot believe I'm having a full on conversation with Sandman right now. Like, this is what is going on with
About
this?
Clifford the Big Red Dog, no less.
Yes, and so I was just having so much fun with this conversation, and then a few years later, I ran into Tony Schiavone with my daughter, and I
Nice.
got to talk to him, and I was like, I told, because my daughter's also getting into wrestling. She's a little bit of a fan, and so when we watch AEW on Wednesdays, she knows Tony Schiavone's voice, and I go, listen, I don't think you understand. Like, I told this right to Tony, right to his face. I was like, this is my childhood voice of wrestling, which
Right.
just so happens to be yours at the same time. And he was taken back, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I appreciate everything." And we had a great conversation. And I was like, "Man, I've been following you forever. Like, remember when you started with WCW, and then you migrate over, and now we had so much fun just having a quick conversation." But yeah, those were like my two big surreal moments that I'm like, what is life? I was like, the day that I meet Rey Mysterio will be the day I just like, that's it.
Okay.
I'm done with the whole entire. I'm done with this whole
Okay.
thing. I'm out. I'm out this game. I got to meet the person, my favorite wrestler of all time. I was like, I'm out the game. I'll just be a mark for the. I'll be a smart mark for the rest of my life. I don't care. I'll be like, that's it. That's where my game will end.
That's awesome.
But yo, let me ask you this question because talking to you, and this is really our first time meeting, right? Uh, and then you guys can see how this gets to work too. Oh yeah. What is it like putting your stamp on this industry with the culture we represent?
I mean, it's everything. Uh, like I do, representation for our culture is not something you see uh very often, and it's not something you see in a lot of prominent positions. And when you do, it of course it does happen, but when you do, the times are pretty far and few in between.
Mhm.
Shout out to Damian Priest right now, holding it
Right.
down for everybody, the world's heavyweight champion. And you got a lot of those guys all over the place. Shout out to Mike Santana, holding it down at the House of Glory and all over the tri-state area and all over the East Coast and all over the country, internationally. My brother, former training partner. This weekend, this Saturday, House of Glory, Puerto Rican weekend going down in Queens, New York. House of Glory. Check it out to anybody that's looking to celebrate the culture and our love for pro wrestling this weekend. Uh, So you do have those examples. You do have the people that we look to in representation, but you don't get it a lot. So to be a part of that, to be a part of, the growing, I think, population of us that are starting to come into those prominent positions and starting to get those opportunities and get that spotlight, it means a lot. It means a lot to even be a very small part of a generation and an era that may open a lot of doors for the ones that come after us. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm,
So you couldn't be more proud of that.
yeah, I think for me, what's crazy is that like for me, the person who represents my culture, right, is Bobby Lashley, right, because he's half Panameño, and
Nice.
so estoy Panameño también, and so like to watch Bobby go through and not even just being just like the real Strike Force heavyweight champion. This man was multiple champions over at Impact and TNA, and then to turn around and watch him do it all over again in the WWE, right, multiple times, ECW world champion. Like the man's holding title after title after title. And the funny part is that when I'm looking through like my side of things, like I remember looking up like randomly just like how many Panamanian wrestlers were there, right, professionally. And this was even before like Bobby had like talked about being Panameño. So when I see him announced, right, originally there was like two wrestlers that were like, these are your two professional wrestlers from Panama. I'm like, no, we got to have more than this. And so when I saw Bobby, I was like, oh my God, thank you. We have somebody. And the funny part about Bobby is that Bobby Lashley and I, we have like this similar path, right? We both were collegiate wrestlers. We both were in the military. We're both in professional wrestling. I trained in mixed martial arts. It wasn't for me. I'll be real, but I definitely have had a lot of fun with that
Okay.
world. But like, nonetheless, like here's this dude paving the way for my culture and my heritage, and I've been so proud that like I continue to have to remind myself like, yo, this is who's repping us, and we're holding it down. Every time I turn around, Bobby's doing something new, and I'm like, I'm very much appreciative. And it took me, it wasn't until like a few years ago that he really talked about it. And when this podcast started, I was like, yo, I feel like I'm the only one. And then I find Mantis, Nikolai White, speaking of people from the tri-state area, I'm like, yo, these are my people. And I just get hyped seeing whenever I see the Panama flag getting repped. I'm like, bro, this is where life is. And I think it's important that like, especially for like the three of us, right? And I mentioned Mantis, Nikolai White, and myself, like we're on this indie scene and we're trying to hold it down. We're trying to let people know, like, hey, Panama has some great wrestlers too, and we're gonna let everybody know what we fly. And I think the important part is that we stay true to ourselves, but also that we show like not everybody has to be like the gangster, right? Or they have to be like the cholo, or they have to be, the rap star, or they don't have to do, it's not like that. We have such a diverse culture that we can rep that, and I think it's important that we get to show it off and put our stamp on this industry for Latinos, not just luchadors in a mask, and those guys are great too. Let's not. I'm not trying to take it away, but I'm just saying there's something different about people that you get to see like, hey, we are proud of the culture we have, we represent, we push it up further and further every single time. And I love the fact that I get to put my stamp and move the bar my inch as I get to help, with this with our culture in this industry.
And what representation we have. There may not be too many, especially on the big stages, but you just mentioned a couple. Come on, Bobby Lashley. I mean, what a specimen. What representation Bobby Lashley is, and a man
Yeah.
to be proud of right there. And shout out to Mantis, shout out to Nikolai White, both my boys, both my brother Nikolai White, a protege of mine going long time back. Uh, and to that point, to the point of not too much representation. I don't know, Red Dog, you said that you don't you may not be as active as you used to be. I think just for the culture and just because you may owe it to the culture, you gotta dust off those boots and get back in there, baby. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, let's not
Got a
play. Let's
whole
not
lot of
play like I'm not out there. Like I'm still out there. Let's not play.
That's
It's
what I'm
just
saying. We got a whole lot of different flavors, and we got a whole lot of representation. Like you said, you don't got to be the gangster. You don't got to be the cholo. I see you. Don't think I don't know. You throw that little military, bring that little military flavor to the ring, a little action. I see what's going on. Yeah,
hmm Yeah, no, it's cool though, but like it's like you say, like it's few and far in between where we get to represent, right? Well, like for me, my favorite moment, and I don't, and people gonna be like, yo, that's just because you're marked for it, but whatever, is WrestleMania 22. Let's be real, man. Rey Mysterio winning the belt. I mean, that's my favorite wrestler, and I'll get to watch him hold the title. And I know a lot of other people are gonna talk about Eddie Guerrero, right? Because that's true. Let's be real, seeing him work, right? Again, Bobby Lashley, but right now, like in the industry, right now in the E, right, we have Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes, and Bailey all holding titles. Like at this moment that we're recording this, three Latinos just holding it down for us. And it's like, bro, that is a beautiful thing to see. And to see it all happen in one night, we get to see all this happen. and it's like we get three different sides of the culture, right? We get a Cubano, a Mexicana, and then we get a Boricua, like just holding it all down for all of us. And it's like this is where this it just feels right. It feels right. Like that's to me, that's what it is.
It's been long overdue, you know.
Facts.
Before these eras and before these things have started happening in the last couple of years, it was before our lifetimes that things like this was happening. So it's I'm very proud. I'm very proud of everybody that gets to those positions. I'm very proud of us. I'm proud of all the guys that you mentioned, all of our brothers that are doing it on the indie circuit, and the guys that are doing it on the big stages because it's been a long time coming. And as I mentioned before, just opening up doors because you see what's happening now. You see how beautiful it is now. I'm excited to see what the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years brings because I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of it because, like, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Mexicana, Cubano, Boricua, Dominican. We got so many different flavors of ice cream. And let me tell you something, there is amazing, amazing professional wrestling in all of Latin America. And it's about time that our brothers and sisters get the opportunity to show their stuff and the opportunity to perform on these stages because, like anything else, we would change the game.
Facts. It's funny too because when you look at someone like Brian F Pro, right? Let's put him out there. I just want to get the love to him. He put those collages together of the all the Latino wrestlers that he knew, and then
Absolutely.
like
You and me are both on it, baby. We're on the
yeah,
same poster.
and then he put out the HLW, right? His top 500 wrestlers is like, bruh, this is like, it's again, I don't want to say it's long overdue, but it is long overdue. Like we need something like this where it's like, yo, we can showcase who it is that's representing and how they're doing their thing and how much they're doing their thing. So I definitely, it's so cool, like I said, to be a part of something like this and to watch the wave grow and grow and grow. And I got to see it like at the sea level, and now I get to ride up on the wave on my way up. And then, even if I fall off the wave, I don't care. I was like, I got to be on this thing and ride this thing as far as I got to take it. So
And
it is
right
what it
until the
is.
wheels fall off. You only been in there 5 years, baby. You're still a
Yeah.
baby. You got a lot to go. And you still got a lot to experience, and it's gonna be fun. I
Hell yeah.
promise you.
Hey, so let me ask this question because you did say you were a wrestler, and I'm sure you have one of these, and a lot of people have these. What's the worst bump you've taken?
Uh well, for me, the worst bumps always have something to do with injury or if they involve injury in any way. So maybe not necessarily a bump, but I did in 2015 uh had a fractured ankle
Mm,
as a result of doing a high risk maneuver off the top rope to the outside. They call it high risk for a reason. And landed the wrong way. The ankle went the wrong way. Managed to finish the match, but after that, it was straight to the hospital. Had to be carried out, and was on crutches for 8 months. Was out of action for 10 months. It was bad. And then in 2020, I actually popped out my MCL, and that was actually during a training session, not even actually at an event. So, which was it was a bummer, and that had me out of action for almost a year. So, uh, I've taken a lot of bad bumps, but if anybody that knows me knows that I came from the world of backyard wrestling, as a lot of our brothers and sisters do come from. And where I came from, it was pretty rough, and some of the things that we did were pretty daring and scary and crazy. And some of us shouldn't even be walking today. So, uh, it was never the bumps really that scared me or were bad for me to take. I was pretty open, and I'm still pretty open to an extent, as long as we're being responsible and smart to most bumps and to most ideas. But it's those injuries, man. It's those injuries that gets you that I would definitely categorize as the worst moments.
yeah, I too dabbled in the dark arts, not once but twice. So I know where you're coming from, and the things that we did unsupervised
Oh yeah,
was, yeah, no. Oh man, no. So that's crazy because even for me, like my worst injury actually came at a training session when I tore my abdomen, like on a
Oh,
3/4 roll of all the things
no.
that you could get injured on. Like I got injured on that, so it's like I definitely can relate when it comes to like, oh damn, that's a bad moment. So I feel where you're coming from. Listen, before we get into my favorite part of the Three Count podcast, I have one question though, and it's a question I haven't asked in a while, so you could be the first one to have it back at you. But I need one do and one don't of the locker room, seeing that you've been traveling up and down the East Coast.
Wow. One do and one don't. I would say do listen. You've heard it before, and it's something that I don't think gets stressed enough anymore. Or even if it does, it's something that may not be as respected a notion as it once was. And it's close your mouth and open your ears, especially for the younger guys. If we're talking about do's and don'ts, guys that are trying to earn their way up the ladders and stuff like that. uh and when I say close your mouth and open your ears, that doesn't necessarily mean just listen to the teachings and the advice, for better or for worse, of the veterans, or you know the do this and do that, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, that a lot of veterans are going to try to come at you with. What I mean by close your mouth and open your ears is pay attention. A lot of us, we're so caught up in the moment, and some of us, we're caught up on our phones, even in the locker room, which may be on my list of don'ts. uh, because there's always something going on and something that you should be paying attention to, whether it be things that are happening on the show, the production of the show. The promoter always usually has something to tell everybody and likes to keep in touch with what's going on. I say, close your mouth and open your ears, because when you guys are putting your stuff together, it would be respectful and it would be considerate and it would be nice to check in with your brothers and sisters in the locker room and see what's going on and some of your other brothers' things. Because I don't know if you noticed, but one of the things we see a lot, you may see some repetition on some of the shows, in the past couple years. You know what I'm saying? Guys like to do it, and I get it. I understand the style of today is what it is, but because of that, you see a lot of guys. They tend to do a lot of the same things, and uniqueness is not something that is of abundance in the independent wrestling circuit. And I think a lot of that could change if there was a little more collaboration between everybody backstage. Hey, try to get your match together before the event, so that way maybe you could pay attention to some of the matches that your brothers and sisters are putting on, so that way you know what they're doing. You could learn from your brothers and sisters and what's working and what's not working, what gets a reaction, what doesn't get a reaction, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And most importantly, what can you do for the promoter in terms of your performance that gets him what you want and gets the most out of your experience working for him, so that way maybe they invite you back, so that way maybe the fans want to see you come back, so that way maybe you do rise up that ladder and you do become somebody on the brand that you're working for. And as far as a don't, uh man, the don'ts kind of fall in line with what I just said about the do's. But
Yeah.
hey, don't leave the locker room dirty. Don't leave your shit around. uh don't come to the locker room with dirty, funky, smelly ass gear. You know what I'm talking about? One of the other things that we got to deal with a lot in 2024 and years prior is dudes feeling like they could just air their joint out on a hanger, or sometimes not even, and they want to come to 2 or 3 shows rocking the same gear that they've been rocking in a row. And let me tell you, it's not a fun experience. I don't want to be put in a headlock by you. I don't want to be put in a head scissors by you. I don't want to be next to you. I don't even want to collar and elbow tie up your stinking ass. So do me a favor, everybody. It's called laundry detergent. It's called fabric softener. You know what? The fabric softener is not even that necessary. I don't even care if you do it. You know what? You want to keep your gear intact? Take your hands, take a sink, take some soap, and do a little bit of this action right here, especially in the gonard and in the under region area, because that's where we really are struggling. You know what I'm talking about? Do us all a favor, because you be helping out me, you be helping out yourself, all your brothers and sisters, and I promise you, everybody in the locker room will like you just a little bit more.
Facts. Facts. Oh, you have no idea how many times like I've like walked into it and like, listen, man, we don't need to be walking into a room smelling feet. Like, I understand that, like, just
and some locker rooms, I think we could admit here, are a little unbearable to walk into. So, fellas, do us all a favor, because it's not the ladies, I promise you.
It's not. Hey, yo, we're going to jump into my favorite segment of the 3 Count Podcast. That is the 3 Count Podcast 10 Count Questions. Mr. Kage, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that is your answer.
Hit me.
So we're going to put on an imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing. And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite cartoon?
Thundercats.
Ho! Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Favorite movie?
The Godfather.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Favorite TV show?
The Sopranos.
Let's go. Marvel or DC?
Oh, DC.
Favorite podcast?
The Jim Cornette Experience.
It's a good one. The host of the debate show will tell you he got blocked by Jim Cornette. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
As a member of the cult of Cornette, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say he probably deserved it.
I'll tell you about it why after. Yeah, but nominate one person you want to see on this podcast.
Have you had my boy Nikolai White?
I have had Nikolai White on the show.
Okay.
Drink your water.
Maybe I'll have to throw in my man Jam Pack Johnny Rambeau. This is one of my young Padawans, one of my young come-uppers, and he's got a crew with him. Shout out to Adonis Stone. Shout out to KB King. Shout out to The Wave. But I'm all about seeing the younger cats get those opportunities that it was so hard for us to claw for when I was coming up. So, in this digital media age where we got all these podcasts and we got good brothers like yourself giving guys platforms to speak their truths and to speak their dreams and to, try and manifest these things. I gotta shout out some of my young guys. So shout out to The Wave, all 3 of them. They're going to be in action in Ridgefield Park, June 8th, at the Mecca for Loud East Wrestling. So shout out to them. And yeah, man, shout out to Nikolai White. Shout out to Mantis. Shout out to all my guys.
Hell yeah.
These guys are prospects, man. And these guys, they're talents like we've never had before. Nikolai White, watch out for him, because I've been screaming his name for a long time. This kid is going to be something big. He's right there. He's on the cusp of it. And when that lightning bolt hits him, I hope everybody's ready.
Facts. And then, like, my last question for you, the one I like to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word?
Fuck.
It's got to be.
I mean, come on.
I mean, between that and pendejo, those are like my 2 favorites.
Well, let's just say if you grew up in my household, we were never shorted. We were never of shortage on the word fuck.
Yeah.
And, shout out to Mom Dukes. She had a pretty R-rated mouth. So, I got an education pretty early. When it came to, especially when it came to the New Yorker and, shout out to all of our Latino and our Latino curse words. But, I grew up in the Lower East Side and my whole family was very New York. And, so.
Yeah, my mom was, whenever I got under her skin, man, all I was hearing was like, esta niño de carajo. So always gave me a treat. I'm always like, oh, thanks, Mom. I know you mean something nice for me. But, listen, those are all my questions and stuff for you. So the last thing I need you to do is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
All over social media, baby, wherever you're at. You got the X, you got the Instagram, you got the Facebook, you got the TikTok, you got the YouTube. Just look for your boy Absolute Kage, Kris Kage on Facebook, Absolute Kage on Instagram, on the X, on TikTok. You want to go to Left Hand on Top Productions on YouTube if you want to find your boy in action on YouTube, or just search the name Kris Kage, because you'll find me all over there. Google it, bitch, whatever you want to do. And catch your boy in action. Project Codename Wrestling. Loud East Wrestling. I got a couple of other things coming up. New Age Wrestling, as the brother mentioned earlier. The longest reigning New Age Wrestling champion in the history of the company, 16 years now. I got some big announcements coming up. So if you want to go to all those social media platforms, you're going to hear some big things. You're going to hear some important things regarding this weekend, especially regarding June 8th and beyond, July, August, and into September. And Red Dog, I got to tell you, thank you for having me on the show, and I had a really good time.
Hell yeah, me too, man. So he told you where you could find him. He gave you all the handles and even told you about all the promotional stuff that's coming up. So you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like I said, it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You see him right there, the absolute Kris Kage. And you know what that means. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're checking us out on Amazon Music. You're even peeping us on Apple Podcasts. You're also listening to That's One Thing with the dumb jingle, iHeartRadio, or however that thing goes. You're buying all of our merch on foryourwear.com or even on prowrestlingtees.com. You're telling your mom about us. You're telling your dad about us. You're telling your uncles, your aunties, your moms, your dads, your grandmothers, your grandfathers, your cousins, everybody. You're even telling your haters, because we love haters too. So you're doing that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is just kind of show us some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, love y'all.